Welcome everyone. Today's video is on Wazuh security platform. Wazuh is a free, open source and enterprise ready security monitoring solution. It can be used for threat detection, incident response and compliance monitoring as well. Just an out of the box info. The proper way to pronounce is Wazuh. I might say Wazuh or Waza because there are some confusion. So let's keep everyone happy. I have written a book on it, which is here, and you can check out this book on Amazon. The link is in the description below. If you enjoy consuming videos, I have created a complete course on it. You can again find the link in the description. This is the crash course on Waza. I will take you from basics to deployment to integration and multiple hands on labs. I will be sharing multiple resources related to this course in the description below. What are you waiting for? Let's get started. So let's get started with the course outline first. Okay. First, we will learn about introduction to Waza platform. We will learn about different what is Waza and what are different capabilities of Waza and different use cases as well. Then we will understand about HIDS, which is Host Intrusion Detection System. What is OSSEC and how it is related to Waza platform. It is going to be very interesting, trust me. Okay, then we will learn about components of Waza. Okay, then we will learn about architecture of Waza as well. Okay, different components, the architecture, different modules within it. Okay, then we will talk about different deployment methods, from standalone deployment to the virtualized environment deployment to distributed deployment as well, where we will be talking about different clusters of for different components. Okay, then we will learn about Wazuh features. Then I'll take you through the demo of Wazuh platform, where I'll show you where you can find the live alerts, security alerts, maybe security rule sets, decoders. What are decoders? Where you can find the configuration tab to manage the entire Waza platform. I'll take you through the compliances, how to manage different compliance and how to monitor them live. Next, we will talk about Waza integration. So we can integrate Waza with tons of softwares. We will learn about what are different commercial softwares that can be integrated and different open source software as well. For example, how we can integrate Windows Defender, or maybe the Hive software, or how we can integrate the SOAR platforms as well. Okay, so we will learn through it, and also how can we integrate VirusTotal for threat intelligence capability. Then we will learn about onboarding Ubuntu endpoints to Waza platform for monitoring. Okay. Next, we will talk about onboarding or adding Windows agent to Waza platform so that we can monitor it. Okay. Next, we will learn about Waza rule sets. In rule set, we will learn about Waza's how to build a security rules, or maybe correlation rules to detect any kind of alerts into the network, or suspicious activity into the network. And second, decoders. So decoders is all about parsing the data from different sources. Okay. Next, I'll take you through different hands-on lab. We will first complete the lab on file integrity monitoring to detect any unauthorized changes on any certain directory or a files. Then we will learn about detecting network intrusion by integrating Waza platform with Suricata IDS, which is intrusion detection system. Okay, that's the second home lab, hands-on lab. Third, we will be detecting vulnerabilities using Waza platform. Fourth, we will be detecting execution of malicious commands. Remember, these are all the commands. So malicious or suspicious, you could say. Next, the fifth lab would be on detecting and blocking brute force attacks. So we will be creating a rules such that it can detect the alert, and we are also going to use an inbuilt capability of Waza platform called active response to block those attacks. Okay, to block those attack attempt. Hands-on lab number 6, detecting malicious executions, malicious file using VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a very, very powerful tool for threat intelligence. And we are going to detect malicious file or any malware using VirusTotal integration. Finally, we will conclude our course. So let's talk about HIDS, OSSEC, and Wazuh. All right, so OSSEC, why I'm actually talking about it? Well, OSSEC is a security platform, or to be very specific, it is an HIDS software, host intrusion detection system, which was created by Daniel Set in year 2004. In year 2015, it was forked and Wazuh platform was created. Okay, OSSEC is also an open source HIDS security software which still exists. Okay. Now, before we talk about OSSEC even further, let's understand what is an HIDS software. Well, HIDS is, as you know, is the host intrusion detection software that is installed directly on the endpoints or maybe on the servers, directly on that. Okay. The purpose is basically to identify any malicious activity happening on the individual host or devices. For example, related to any memory, related to any suspicious process, installation of any rootkit, any kernel level activity. So it actually focus on the host level intrusion or suspicious activity. There is also there is another solution which we call it as NIDS, which monitors, which is basically network intrusion detection system, which monitors the suspicious activity happening on the wire. That means on the network, right? Now, third thing is that deployed on the each devices, as I said, and the hosts that need to be monitored. Next, let's talk about the OSSEC feature now. OSSEC is very powerful. It is, as I said, because it has been forked by OSSEC, so OSSEC is supposed to be very powerful. It has quite a lot of capability. You can also visit their official website. But for now, understand log. It performs the log analysis. It monitors and analyzes the log files from multiple sources. It has file integrity monitoring capability as well. That means it can detect any changes in the file, addition, removal, modification, everything. It can also detect rootkit. Okay, so it can identify the rootkits or any malware on the endpoint. Okay, it performs the real time alerts, notification of any suspicious activity. Finally, compliance as well. So it helps, of course, by doing this, it will help you to meet the compliance requirement. Now, how Wazuh is different from OSSEC? As we know, it has been forked from OSSEC. So what's so special about Wazuh then? Well, of course, the first thing is it has Wazuh also added few more features. The first and very important, which I personally like, is this lovely dashboard, and that too it's free. Okay, but let's first talk about some of the important one. First is the vulnerability detection. It includes the built-in. It has a built-in vulnerability detection capability, identifying any vulnerability in the system configuration, and then we can proactively address those potential issues by patching those vulnerabilities as well. Next, we have security configuration assessment. We call it as SCA. This provides a kind of with Wazuh, we get SCA tools. We can that complies the requirement of CIS benchmarking. So you can visit their official website, CIS Security. You will understand about different benchmarking. They provide the different benchmark and security requirement and secure images for multiple hardware like Cisco routers, switches, Ubuntu, Debian, Windows Server, and everything. So this is used on Wazuh platform as well to meet the baseline security requirement. Next, it also has a capability to perform cloud security monitoring as well. So it supports the monitoring and securing the cloud environment like AWS, Azure, Cloud, Google Cloud infrastructure as well. And of course, you have the lovely dashboard. We'll see that in the demo. You get a lovely comprehensive dashboard with Wazuh. It has quite a lot of integration available. With it can be integrated with the VirusTotal, OS Query. Then it can be integrated with Shuffle, which is the SOAR platform, IPDB. There are many other integration options available as well. And of course, which I personally love is their proactive community. They are very proactive on the Google group. They have a Google group. They have a Slack community. They also have their Reddit subreddit as well, and I think they have recently launched their Discord as well. So this makes Wazuh very powerful and different from OSSEC. So in this video, we are going to talk about the Wazuh components or the components of Waza. All right. So first thing is let's talk about the agents. Before that, let me tell you there are four major components. First is the agent. Second is the server. You see here, server, Wazuh agent, Wazuh server, Wazuh indexer. That's the third one, and fourth is the Wazuh dashboard. Okay. Now, first thing first, the Wazuh agent is installed on the endpoint. Okay, and on the endpoint, it's nothing but a software, right? It's a software, so it has got multiple components, and each component has its own capability. So there are different modules with it. First one is the active response, which works for the incident response activity, which is kind of a script which will be triggered once a specific rule is met. Okay. Next, we have command execution to execute or perform command monitoring or keep an eye on every possible command. Next, we have configuration assessment command. And remember, each of these modules are basically capabilities. Okay. These are all capabilities of Wazuh. We have container security to monitor all the events and logs of containers as well. You have cloud security, which monitors every cloud events or audit trail like AWS, Azure, or GCP. We have file integrity monitoring, which is to monitor any file changes, addition, deletion, modification. We have log collector, which is just to collect all the logs from the endpoint. Okay. Then we have malware detection and system inventory. System inventory basically maintain inventory of all the softwares and different modules in the system. Okay. Next, we have agent daemon. We have data encryption. These are all the processes that keeps running. We have modules management. We have remote configuration, server authentication. So these are all the daemons that runs all the time. Okay. Now, once any of the this modules collect any specific logs, this will send it to the server immediately. You got it? This will be sent to the server. The first thing that happen is agent collects the logs and send it to the Wazuh server. On the server side, we have a lot of correlation, integration, different capability happening. Three of the major capability that is there on the server is threat intelligence with integration, or maybe using different CDB list, which I'll talk about later. It's like a list of key value pair, which where we can define all the whitelisted or blacklisted IP address or blacklisted domain. We also have vulnerability detection. Remember, vulnerability detection need to be enabled. System inventory is enabled by default, but vulnerability detection need to be enabled from the server. Next, we have regulatory compliances. So this has to be configured from the Wazuh server related to PCI DSS, or maybe, as I said, NIST compliances, HIPAA compliance, and other NIST compliances, GDPR compliance as well. Now, once this has been created, this has been correlated with different other features that's there on the Wazuh server. We then get the artifacts or indicator of compromise. This all happen here, including the rule set, I would say, which consists of both security rules and decoder. Okay, so this is all created on the server itself. Now, the purpose of rule is we have a lot of events coming in, right, from the agent. Now, on the Wazuh server, you create different rule to detect any specific kind of security threats, which is very urgent. For example, so if there is any event that matches any rule, it will create an alert. Okay, so that's what we do in the rule section. Next we have decoder. Decoder is basically to parse the data, because you see there could be wide variety of data coming into the Wazuh, right? Some of them are already parsed because Wazuh community is keep building. They keep building a lot of decoders. They keep doing the parsing themselves. But if you have some customs solutions, some platform for which the parsing is not done, in that situation, decoder plays a very important role, because you see every log is having a different format. If you look at checkpoint firewall logs, it will be having a different log format. Palo Alto will be having a different log format. But in order to correlate properly and analyze those logs, we need a standard format. Okay, so that is done by parsing, that is done by decoders. Okay, so now once that has been done, it will be sent to the indexer. Why indexer? Because indexer is very powerful. The purpose of indexer is it's to perform full text search and analytic out of it. This is the central component for all the indexes and indices, I would say. And it stores the all the alerts. It store the archive data as well. So this store all the information about the raw data events, security alerts, inventory data, agent monitoring data, and perform the log retention as well, long term storage as well. So this performs this entire search engine capability through which you retrieve all the logs and alerts and everything. It also have the data analytics capability as well. By default, Wazuh uses OpenSearch. That's already there. Next, once there's a match, the data can be given to the dashboard. Data can be shared to the dashboard. Dashboard is the one where we as a user actually run the query and visualize the alert, or create a custom dashboard, generate the reports, download those reports and everything. So this all happen on the dashboard at the end, and this is where we as a user interact with Wazuh software. All right. So this is the entire components of Wazuh. So now let's talk about the architecture of Wazuh. Before we understand that, it's important to learn what's the difference between component, which we just talked about, components, and architecture, which we are about to learn. Okay. Now see, the component talks about smaller. It's very smaller in scope, focusing majorly on the functionality and or different services or different modules or modules. And when we talk about the architecture, this is all about a high level structure. Okay, this is all about high level structure of your software. This is about focusing on more about scalability. Okay, this is all about performance of the system, and performance of the system is improved when you have better scalability, elasticity of different databases and the software as well. Then what also matters is the security functionality, and of course how do you maintain the entire infrastructure. So this is all covered in the architecture of any application or a software. Okay, now let's learn about it. This is the architecture design really looks like. Of course, this might sound very similar to components, but it's slightly different. You see this is in the on your left. This is our endpoint agent. This is all your agent information. Okay, let me use another color. Okay, this is all your first component, which is Wazuh agent. Okay, we can install the Wazuh agents on the server. Maybe it's a Windows server, Ubuntu server, Debian server, anything, right? And we can also install on desktop, Windows desktop, laptop, cloud instances, or virtual machines, right? Now, once the agent starts running, it will collect all the logs and send it to the server cluster, right? Now, if you remember, I talked about scalability, about the architecture, right? This is the reason in the server component we have multiple nodes running. You see, this is our master. There are multiple servers that they are all running in a cluster. You see this, but one of them will be working as a master and rest of them will be working as a worker node. Okay, they become active once the master node, if the master node goes down. Okay, so this is the first node of the server. This is the second Wazuh server. This is the third server. We can have probably 5, 8, 10, anything. Okay, and all of them will be having the same functionality. It's just that for better performance, for better scalability, for enterprise network, we use cluster deployment for Wazuh servers. And next, if you see that properly, Wazuh server get all the data and then it send it to the indexer. Now indexer, you can see even the indexers are also deployed in the cluster. Okay, and this is collection of one or more node that communicate with each other, that performs the read and write operation on different indices. Right now, if you see that here, we have node 1, we have node 2, node 3, up to n number of nodes. So this is based on your organization. For production environment, remember, it is recommended to deploy Wazuh server and Wazuh indexers on a different nodes. And for the large enterprise infrastructure, we deploy them in the cluster, just the way you see it, right? For better high availability, high resiliency. So in case if the first node goes down, other node can take effect, right? Now you see something special here. Wazuh server can actually send the data and talk to the indexer through the file beat. Okay, you see this file beat. Now this Wazuh server uses file beat to send the alerts and the events to the indexer. So this is the module which is used to connect and send the data from server to indexer. Okay, and Wazuh server output the data and send it to the Wazuh indexer by default on 9200 TCP port. So this is the port on which it usually talk. Okay, and then finally the data can go to the dashboard either from the indexer or from the server, because sometime, as if you remember, we talked about indexer also collects and maintain the long term data as well. So we can also retrieve the archive data, or we can get the live alerts from the Wazuh server, live alerts from the Wazuh server, or maybe the long term data from the indexer, or possibly any kind of data analytics as well. So this is how the entire architecture works. Okay, now let's talk about the deployment methods. So let's talk about different ways Wazuh software, the security platform, can be deployed. First, we learn about distributed servers, where we have a Wazuh server and Wazuh indexer deployed in the cluster form, right? So we have multiple servers in servers, one working as a master, another working as a worker, and similarly in the indexer as well. Second, we can deploy in the virtual machines. Now, this can be directly imported to the virtual box, or maybe VMware workstation as well. It does not provide high availability and scalability, of course, that's as it sounds obvious, but this is good for the lab environment. Okay, if you are you want to test the Wazuh platform, or maybe you want to learn Wazuh platform yourself, I'd suggest go for the virtual machines. Okay. Next, AMI is Amazon Machine Images. So Amazon has their own marketplace from where you can download, or it's called AMI basically, where you get the pre-configured template that is ready to use for creating virtual instances within the Amazon EC2 instances as well. Okay, so you can launch the machine. It's called Wazuh All-in-One Deployment AMI directly from the AWS marketplace. All right. Next, we have Docker. This one I personally like it. In this course, we are going to deploy our Wazuh platform on the Docker itself. Okay, Docker is an open platform for building, delivering, and running application inside a software container, and the Docker container package up the software. It's as actually its containers are like a package ready with the software, including everything need to run the code. Okay, you get everything in a package. You just run and it get ready. Okay, So that could include your code, runtime, system tools, system library, all the settings as well. We can deploy the Wazuh in as a single node or multi-node stack as well with Docker. So we have single node deployment where we deploy Wazuh Manager, Indexer, and Dashboard in a single node itself, or we have multi-node deployment. Okay. Now, multi-node deployment is the one where we have two Wazuh manager. Okay, in the multi-node deployment, we have two Wazuh manager. This is one. This is two. Okay, and one will be master, another will be worker node, and the third node will be our indexer node. Okay, so the third node will be our indexer node. So these two will be manager itself, the server itself first, and two second, and the third will be the indexer, and of course, and a Wazuh dashboard node as well. So final node will be our Wazuh dashboard. So this is how the multi-node deployment really looks like. This is multi-node deployment with Docker. Okay. And when we talk about the single node deployment with Docker, in this case, everything from Wazuh manager, and then the indexer and the dashboard all comes in the single node itself. So you don't have to turn multiple nodes. So if you are going for a lab environment or a very small testing environment, go for single node deployment. If you are going for a production ready environment, go for multi node deployment. All right. Let's talk about the final deployment method. This is very scalable. Kubernetes is the open source container orchestration engine. So containers are microservice packaged with the different dependencies and configuration as well. So Kubernetes is meant to run across cluster that can be automated, that can be scaled very well, and management of those containers are very friendly as well. Okay. In some of the situation, it can be little hectic, but it is really scalable from enterprise point of view. All right. So these are some of the popular deployment methods for Wazuh platform. So let's talk about Wazuh features. Okay. These are some of the important capabilities or features of Wazuh. Let's talk about them one by one. First is the intrusion detection, right? So intrusion is any suspicious activity into the network. Wazuh agents scan the monitor endpoint, our endpoints, and scan it, and look for any malware in the system, any rootkit into the system, any suspicious anomalous behavior into the system. They can also detect any hidden files or unregistered network listeners. And in addition to the agent capability itself, server component also uses the signature database to detect any kind of intrusion detection into the system, right? But remember this, Wazuh itself is an HIDS, I would say, software. Okay, so it is very specific and limited to the host. You can enhance its capability to look for any network based anomalous behavior as well, right? Because HIDS look for host based intrusion detection system, right? If you want to look for anomalous behavior in the network, you can integrate NIDS software as well, like Suricata or Snot, to enhance the capability. Okay. Next feature is the log data analysis. Now, log data analysis reads the operating system logs, application logs, and actually then over an encrypted tunnel, it send it to the manager or the server for any rule-based analysis and storage on the indexer. Right. When the no agent is deployed, the server can also receive the data via syslog. So, for example, if let's say this is our Wazuh server, okay, we can of course get the data from the agent, okay. But in case let's say we don't have an agent, let's say we have a router, maybe how would we say the router? Okay, let's say for example switch, okay, and there's a router as well, right? So this is the router. Now we can't install any agent on router, right? We can't really install any application on the router or switches. In that situation, we can get those data via syslog. So what we can do is we can configure a syslog IP address, destination IP address on both router and switches, and send the log to a server, and we can configure a syslog module on it, and then we can actually install the agent on this server and send it to the Wazuh server then. Okay. So that's the way we perform the log data analysis. Once we collect all the data, then we can look for any system error, misconfiguration attempt, successful malicious activity, or policy violation, anything, right? Third thing is the file integrity monitoring. Now, this is where Wazuh monitors the file system, identify any changes in the content, permission, ownership, and different attributes of the file, and generates an alert when there is any unauthorized changes. We can also combine. We can this also helpful, in fact, for different compliances. You see, this is very important for PCI DSS. This is the one of the very important requirement for PCI DSS compliance as well. So this become very important. We can also combine it this capability with the threat intelligence to enhance to take it ahead, right? So next feature is the vulnerability detection. Now Wazuh agent pulls the this is okay, this is our server, right? Wazuh server, and this is our Wazuh agent. Okay. Now a Wazuh agent pull all the software inventory data. When I say the inventory data of the agent, it means software package, like on your endpoint you have Chrome software, you have Microsoft 365, you have maybe WhatsApp installed on your system, maybe Notepad, maybe Notion, maybe LinkedIn, anything, maybe Microsoft Edge. These are all inventory from the Wazuh point of view, from the Wazuh agent's point of view, right? And then it send those information to the Wazuh server, where this information will be correlated with the CVE information. So now once the Wazuh server receive that, it will actually match those data with the CVE database, and it check based on the version of the softwares that you have installed, is there any vulnerability, or if there is any vulnerability in the CVE database, which is common vulnerability entity, which you can also find on cvedetails.com or exploitdb.com as well, which is under the MITRE NVD program. So if that there's any match, then it creates a vulnerability. It creates a vulnerability alert. Okay. So this is kind of a very automated vulnerability assessment done by Wazuh. Okay. Next feature is configuration assessment. Now this is very powerful, guys, because Wazuh monitors system and application configuration settings to ensure that they are compliant with our security baseline or standards or hardening guide, right? So agent performs a kind of a periodic scan. So this is our Wazuh server, and this is our agent. Okay. So in this case, what happened is the agent perform a periodic scan, and this scan perform based on different indicators. So agent perform periodic scan to detect any applications that are known to any vulnerable, unpatched, or insecure configured, right? Insecure configurations, right? Additionally, this configuration checks can be customized, can be tailored them to properly align with your organization baseline configuration, right? So this alert can include a different kind of recommendation that you need to change this configuration, or for modifying or performing the patch for better configuration references as well. Now this benchmarking is done based on the CIS benchmarking. You can also find them by CIS security website as well. You can find a different hardened machine for Cisco, Windows, Ubuntu machine. So CIS is the non-profit organization who work on building those those hardening standards and baseline configuration. Okay. Next is the incident response. Now, incident Wazuh provides the out-of-the-box active response to perform various countermeasures to address any active threats. Right. So that means Wazuh already have probably 10 to 15 inbuilt scripts, which will be triggered once whenever a specific rule is being called, or maybe a specific condition has been met, right? So maybe if, let's say, SSH, a brute force attack has been detected by Wazuh. immediately an incident response code or a script will be executed to isolate this machine, or maybe to create a firewall rule, right? So that's an incident response, or I would say very precisely automated incident response, where an engineer or a SOC analyst don't have to do manually anything himself or herself. Wazuh itself will do that. Okay. Maybe Wazuh can be used to remotely run any command or system query or identify any IOC in those situations as well, right? Next feature is the regulatory compliance. Of course, we talked about it, but from regulatory compliance point of view, it provides some of the very important some of the very important and very much in need feature for PCI DSS compliance, for GDPR, as I said, for NIST compliances as well, NIST security control compliances. So this is very, very important. This also help us in securing the cloud infrastructure. So it monitors the cloud infrastructure at an API level, or using an integration module that are able to pull the security data from different providers like AWS, Amazon AWS, or Azure Cloud, or GCP Cloud as well, right? Next feature is the container security. Now, Wazuh provides a very flexible solution for it. The security, it helps us to get the visibility into Docker hosts and containers for monitoring their behavior, or detecting any anomalous behavior, or detecting any threats into the system, or vulnerability, or any anomalous behavior. So basically, Wazuh agent has a native integration with Docker engine itself. So allow in that situation, it allows the user to monitor any image, volume, or network setting, and running containers as well. So this become very, very helpful. All right, so now let me share you the demo of Wazuh dashboard. Okay, this is how the entire dashboard really looks like. On the top, you have this option up arrow, and once you click on it, you get all the options related to different module, and then under that you have all the different capabilities. Under different sections, we have security information management. This is what you would be using most of the time. Next, we have threat detection and response, auditing and policy monitoring, regulatory and compliances. Similar thing you can see on your main dashboard as well. All the four components and their different capabilities, right? Either you can go from the module section, or directly click on security events. The moment you click on the security events, first you get the visualization of all the events, security alerts that you have, and their categories. You also get the pie chart, alert level attribution, and then the security alerts. You can then go to the events, and under this you can then create certain filters and search for those individual alerts. I can either look at those alerts from here, and different metadata of each alerts, including the location, agent ID from where the event was received, agent name, so destination, so user, source IP address, all the different information. You can also apply a filter, and maybe you can set a filter by source IP. So you can type data source IP, and then you can say equal to is, and then the IP address. So let's say I enter this, save this. Now I should only see the alerts matching that source IP address, right? So that's how we can apply certain filters. Now, we can even look at the alert specific to the agents. Okay. For this, come back to this arrow again, and click on the agents. And then you can go to the individual agent from here. Let's say this agent, right? And then from here also, you can go to navigate to the security events. Correct. Now, this is the way we look at the security events. We also have integrity monitoring. This categorize all the events related to file integrity monitoring. Okay, this gives you the dashboard and then events. Next is the threat detection and response. First, we have vulnerabilities. Once it has been enabled, you can see all the critical, high, medium vulnerability in the system. You also have MITRE attack framework mapping as well. So, because different rules are being created that are mapped to different techniques defined under the MITRE ATT&CK framework. MITRE ATT&CK gives you the visualization of different tactics, techniques for advanced threats. Okay. Now you can come to the management section, and let me first show you rules. So rules are very important because rules, gives you the there are a lot of default rules already being created, but this gives you the capability to create a custom rules as well by yourself. Usually we save those file in the local, or maybe we create a local file, local rules. You can add all your custom rules in this rule file itself. It is saved in the XML format. You can search different rules. Maybe I can search for SSH rules, and this is the SSH rule in the custom in the XML format. Once I click on it, this is the way it has been categorized. All the rules are being clubbed in the group name. So you see, start with the group and end with the group closing tag. Okay. Under this, we have different rule ID defined. Let me go up. Under this, we have different rule ID and their level as well. Whenever an event matches a specific rule ID, it will generate an alert. If there's no rule for any event, it will not generate any alert. Okay. Now next we have decoder is like extracting data. It extract the information from received event. So if you have a decoder created for maybe logs coming in from checkpoint firewall, then only you can see and create a rules for checkpoint firewalls, right? If you don't have the decoders available, then you won't see those logs. Basically, decoder parse those data and visualize them in a standard format. That's very, very important. You can find decoders based on different vendors as well. Let's say I search for Cisco, I'll see Cisco FTD decoders to parse the data coming in from Cisco FTD firewalls, Cisco ASA, Cisco iOS, which is used for router and switches, Cisco VPN decoders as well. Similarly, you can check for checkpoint firewall. It's there, right? You can similarly check for Palo Alto. Let's remove the space. Yes, Palo Alto firewall, right? So this is the way we actually parse the data, because every vendor generates the log in a different format. Now you can come to the module section again, and there are different capabilities in the regulatory compliance as well. So Wazuh can categorize all the alerts based on different compliances as well, based on PCI DSS, and you can see these are all alerts are mapped here. But how, the question is, how does Wazuh know about it? Well, it's all possible because of rules itself. If you look at each rules, let me show you. If you look at any of the rules, and whenever there is a match, it also adds a specific tag. You see this rule number 5710. We are in the SSH related rules. If there's a match, then it also create a tag under different section. You see the PCI DSS, Recon, TSC. These are all compliances. NIST 853, GDPR compliances. So whenever a specific rule is matched, it will create an alert, and it actually get segregated. It get organized in different category, and that's how you see them in MITRE ATT&CK in different compliances as well. So this way, monitoring the compliance becomes very, very easier. You also have a new next feature I wanted to tell you. It's about security configuration assessment. This is basically to comply with the security benchmarking, depending on different vendors that we have. You see, because we have an Ubuntu machine, we have Ubuntu benchmark, and this looks at different criteria, different files, folder, network setting, and everything. So it will check if the, let's say, ensure the temporary dot slash tmp is separate in is a separate partition. So it will check that, and if it is successful, you will see pass. If it's not in the different partition, it will create an message saying that it failed, and it will also share you some of the remediation steps as well to create a separate partition. So this creates a security hardening. This creates a security benchmarking as well for your organization, right? Now when you click on this hamburger button, you will see some more option related to open search dashboard. With this, you can visualize all different types of indexes under Wazuh, and you can visualize all the different alerts as well. You can create your own custom dashboard. You can visualize the archived logged as well, long term retention logs as well from here. So this can be done through the open search. We also have other option in the management, stack management. But even if you come to the Wazuh dashboard, you also have an option for different configuration and management side as well. You can see groups. You can actually organize all the different agents in a different groups. You also have configuration option, reporting options, and role based access control options as well. So if you go into the security, you can create and add multiple user and assign different roles for them. Let's say currently we have only two user, Wazuh and Wazuh WUI. I can add a new user and assign a different roles. What roles are we having? We have these many rules currently, but we can even create a custom roles as well. Okay. So these are some of the important things. If you want to visualize all the agents in the network, you can come here under the agent section, and you can see all the active users. Some of them are disconnected, some of them are in pending, means you have deployed something but it's not yet connected, never connected. And you also have agent coverage in the network. And you can click on any of those agent, and you get all those capability in a single pane of glass. You have security events, integrity monitoring, SCA, which is security configuration assessment, security auditing, vulnerabilities. So everything which we saw earlier for the module section, that applies for all the agents. If you click on individual agents, you see all the capabilities on the single pane of glass in the single dashboard itself. Right. So this is all about Wazuh dashboard. Right. So now let's talk about integrations with Wazuh. Well, you remember Wazuh? It's a combination of SIM and XDRs. So we need a sort of capability to integrate it with multiple other solutions, right? We can actually integrate Wazuh with some antivirus solutions, which works based on the signatures, right? Which is good for detecting the known threats. Second, it can be integrated with the EDR solution, which has the detection and response capability along with the live forensics as well. So EDR it provides also an threat hunting capability. So there are different vendors that can be integrated. Don't worry, we'll talk about them in the further slides. It can also be integrated with the SOAR, which is helpful in security automation, wherein you can create different playbooks and workflows. Then different incident response tool. There are some dedicated incident response tool available as well. Also threat hunting tools, also IDS IPS tools, other IDS IPS tool, because as you know, Wazuh itself is an HIDS software. So if you want to integrate NIDS or NIPS, you can do that. Vulnerability management tool, log management tool, cloud security tool, compliance and auditing. Okay. First thing first, let's talk about the antivirus. Okay. We have Claim AV that can be integrated, Kaspersky antivirus solutions. Usually, when I say integration, these are all logs. So once the log is it's been generated, we just have to call those logs in the Wazuh, and Wazuh start taking those logs from those antivirus solutions. McAfee antivirus, Sophos, Symantec. All right, Symantec is being acquired by Broadcom, so it's Broadcom now. EDR, it can be integrated with CrowdStrike, Falcon, Carbon Black, Silence. Silence Protect is being acquired by BlackBerry, so it's currently BlackBerry. Sentinel One, Microsoft Defender for endpoint. Next, SOAR tool. It can be integrated with the Shuffle SOAR, which is an open source, almost free if you deploy on self-host. But if you want to go for a cloud base, it's paid. Cortex XDR's XSOAR solution from Palo Alto. Simplify, which is now Google Chronicle. It's been acquired by Google now. And then we have Swim Lane. Next, incident response tool, the Hive MISP tool, Airflow, IBM Resilient, and Splunk Phantom. Okay, Splunk Phantom is again a SOAR platform, but yes, it has an incident response capability as well. Next, threat intelligence tool, VirusTotal, Alien Vault OTX, which is free. VirusTotal is also free, but it has some. If you want to go for multiple queries, then it's paid as well. But I think it's free for 20 queries in a day or something, but you can check the API as well, right? Next, we have IBM X-Force Exchange, which is free recorded future. It's a paid commercial license. Threat Connect, it's again paid. Intrusion detection software, we have Suricata, which is the network-based IDS IPS solution. Snot, which is network-based Snot solution, network-based IDS solution. Then we have Zeek as well, which was formerly called as Bro. Okay, log management solution. It can be integrated with Greylog, Grafana, Elasticstack. Recently, Wazuh also has its own open search platform. It used to be integrated with the Elasticstack earlier, but now it has its own open search platform. Cloud security can be integrated with the AWS CloudTrail, Azure Security Center, Google Cloudflare. Right, everyone. So in this video, we are going to install Wazuh from scratch. Okay, we are going to install in our lab environment, but let's first understand different deployment options. You can visit Wazuh official website. Under this, you have an option called documentation. Next, go to installation guide. Under installation guide, you have first you get the option to deploy the Wazuh in a production environment. That's where you see the Wazuh indexer, Wazuh server, Wazuh dashboard. This all three things you can install individually on a different server. You can see this is Wazuh indexer. This is the assisted installation guide. Step by step process. The documentation is lovely. Okay, you can install them the step by step installation as well by installing the certificates and everything. Right. What we are looking for is installing in the lab environment. The first simplest option I would suggest is to go with the virtual machine, which where you can find the virtual machine OA appliances. You can download this, and this would be ready for you to use on your virtual box or maybe on your VMware. Right. So you can install this machine, add the virtual machine into your virtual box. You're all set. I think the default credential, yeah. So the default credential is Wazuh server and password is Wazuh. Okay. And the access, the dashboard, username and password is admin. Okay. So this password is for the CLI access and this is for the GUI access, right? What we are going to do is to install the Docker in a sorry to install the Wazuh in the Docker environment. Okay. I just want you to be comfortable with the Docker because this is very very important, and I personally like it too. So I think installing virtual machine wouldn't be that difficult for sure, but we'll go with the Docker, and even with the Docker, we have two installation model. We can install in the single node deployment where all the components of indexer, servers, and dashboard will be installed in the single node itself, or we can go for the multi-node deployment, which is good for small or mid-sized businesses or even the large businesses as well. So we'll go for these single node deployment. I have my server on the right. You can see this is Wazuh MUMB. That means Mumbai. Okay. Now we'll go step by step and install all the requirement. The process is going to be very simple. Just be with me. Okay. So the first step is to copy and set the maximum map count. To change the map count, this is the command. Okay. That's done. Next, we can you can verify the terminal and current kernel version as well, so that should be fine. Next, we need to run the installation script. So you can copy this command to install Docker and enter. So once it is done, let's start the Docker daemon. Start it. You can verify by systemctl status command. You can see Docker is running properly. Next, let's install Docker Compose. Well, Docker Compose is Docker itself. It's just that you get whenever you need to install multiple services, you go with Docker Compose because you can turn up the Docker services just with the code, just with the YAML script which has been shared, right? You can paste it here. This will install Docker Compose. Let's grant execution permission to Docker Compose file. And once it is done, you can see the Docker Compose version. If you see the version, that means Docker Compose is installed properly, right? So that completes the installation for Docker Compose. Let's install first. Let's install the Wazuh on the system. As you can see, Wazuh can be installed in two mode: single node deployment and multi-node deployment. For the lab, this is good, right? So let's install first. Let's install the Wazuh from the GitHub repository first. Okay, once it is done, let's see the file. Yeah, so this is the file. Let me files. Font size. Yeah, you can see the this is the directory. Let's get into this directory. Once you are in the directory, you should see two different directory: single node and multi-node. If you want to deploy single node, you have to be in the single node directory. If you want to deploy in multi-node deployment, you can get into the multi-node. Okay, so let's go into the single node. Done. Let me clear this. Yeah, perfect. And let me keep it, yeah, this way. Perfect. Now next, once it is done, you need to make sure you execute to this command, docker compose command, to generate these certificates. This will generate the certificates, and those certificates will be stored in here. Okay, perfect. Can you see this? This will be stored in this directory, so you don't have to do anything manually. So don't worry. Once it is done, then simply go ahead and turn up the Docker. If you use this command, Docker compose up, this will be running in front of you in foreground. But if you want to do it in detached mode, where this will be the Docker compose or Docker machines or Docker containers will be turning up in the background. So this is the better option. Okay, you can go do -d. Or it's done. Let's get the IP address of our server, and the IP address is this. Yeah, so copy it, paste it here. Perfect. You need to enter the username and password. The default username is admin, and the password is secret password. All right. So secret password. Click on login. Let's wait. Awesome. Can you see this? Our dashboard is ready. Everything looks healthy and it's working fine. All right, so now let's onboard our Ubuntu server to Wazuh. Okay, you can see this is our Ubuntu server. To verify, you can enter your name and say, and then you can see the distribution and architecture, right? Come to the Wazuh dashboard, click on agents section, and then choose your right operating system, and then go with the right kernel. We have Debian, okay, because it's Ubuntu, and then enter the server IP address, which is 70.20.86.225. Remember this. You are entering this so that you can create a package for the agents to install. Okay. Next, enter the server name. For us, this will be our server name. Perfect. You can actually organize all of your agents in a different groups. Usually you can go for branch office data center, so you can create different groups. Usually the best practice is to create the groups based on operating system. So I can create windows for one group for Windows, one group for Ubuntu, Debian based, and Mac OS, because you might have to create some custom scripts which might work only a specific on a specific platform. So in that situation, it would be easy for you to push those scripts if you have a organized group. Okay, so once this is done, copy this command, come to your agent, enter this command, and this will be installed. Your Wazuh agent is now installed. Let's enable and start the Wazuh service, Wazuh agent service. Once this get installed properly, you should see the agent on your Wazuh dashboard. Okay, let's come here, go to the agents again, or maybe refresh the page. You see something is coming up, right? So let's refresh. Perfect. Can you see this? Agent has been onboarded now. It's active. Once you click on it, you can see the last keep alive was this, right? So it's recent. Just now it came online on the Wazuh dashboard. So now let's onboard Windows machine to Wazuh. Go to agents, click on deploy new agent, select Windows here, enter the server IP address, which is 6520. You see this? This is the IP address, right? 652086.225. Correct? Give a name, then MUMB. Then you can keep it in the default directory. Next, you can copy the scripts. Make sure you have the admin privileges. Open the PowerShell with the admin privileges. Once you have the PowerShell ready, paste the command here. Okay, paste the command. Now hit enter. It would take some time. Perfect, it's done. Now let's enable and start the service. Okay, so the service has been started. Let's close it. Let's wait for a while and refresh the page. Right, so as you can see, the agent is live now and active at this moment. Once you click on it, you can view the events, security events. What I want to show you, it's very important. If you want to manage your agent, you can navigate to program folder on your agent. Under that, OSSEC agent folder, which will be created once you install the packages. You can click on Win32, and this will open an agent information like this, box like this. This will be very helpful to set the manager IP address, and you can start and stop all the services from here or restart it. Right, in the Ubuntu case, you have to use the command line. With Windows, you also have an option of GUI as well. You can view the configuration from here and the logs as well. So everything in the notepad. So if I click on view config, I get a config file like this, and I can modify, save the file, and once you modify anything onto the agent, you have to restart it, right? So that's a very important thing. I hope that was useful. All right, so now let's talk about Wazuh Ruleset. There are two major rule sets type. First is Wazuh rule itself, security rules. Second is the decoders. Let's first talk about decoders. Well, when you click on it, you will see list of all the decoders. Decoders, Wazuh uses decoders to identify event types. Okay, so if you have event coming in from Windows, it's because of a decoder. You get to know that this is the type, Windows event type. If you're getting the events or logs from Cisco, it's because of decoder. You get to know this is coming in from Cisco, right? So you, with the help of decoder, you extract the most relevant fields, and then you enrich the event. And by using that, by categorizing that event itself, you then able to create rule for it, right? Let me show you. When you look at the decoders, there are different vendors involved. Maybe let's say Cisco. So if you have a rule for Cisco, maybe Cisco FTD, which is the firewall, start with creating a parent decoder first, which has a basic condition to match certain relevant fields, extract certain relevant fields, and then you can be very specific about certain parameter related to inbound connection denied. So for that, you have a separate decoder. This is not a security event. This is just to extract what is this event about, right? So that's the entire purpose of it. Because you remember, every platform is different, their log format is different, so it's a job of Wazuh decoder to extract and standardize it. Okay, so let me take you to their official website, and this is where decoders are mentioned. If you look at, this is the syntax of decoder. There can be multiple parameters used. Decoder parent, to refer the parent decoder. This is the parent decoder, which has a very basic condition, just has the FTD in the name maybe, or certain numbers. This will be treated as the parent decoder. Next, on the child decoder, you don't have to do the same pre-match condition to verify if it is the FTD logs or not. You can simply call the parent decoder and it would be fine. Later on, for a specific kind of a condition like FTD inbound thread, FTD attacks, FTD shunt, deny land attack, and deny inbound UDP. For everything, you can then perform or extract additional fields. Now, even if you can extract those fields, how do you verify if you're doing it correctly? Well, for that, there is a tool, GUI tool, and the command line tool as well, which is decoder testing tool. The tool is present in here, slash var OSSEC bin Wazuh log test. Or you can even go to the rule test. In the tool section, we have rule set test option. So we have rule set in the tool section, we have rule set test option. In here, you can extract those fields and you will get to know if you are doing it right. For example, the moment you extract those fields, you get to know if the phase one is pre-decoding criteria, then completing the decoding and then completing the entire field, about if you are able to extract those fields properly or not. If there's any error, you will get the error. But remember, the heart of extracting, the main core of extracting any data is the regular expression. So you should be good at regular expression. And if you want to upskill into it, there's a website called regex101. You can refer that. These are some of the formats. I've shown you some of the formats as well for the rule set. Give me 1 second. Yeah, here it is. So there are multiple rule set syntax you can refer, and this I'll share you the link in the comment to take a help from it. Right. Second is we'll talk about the rules. So rules is very helpful because a rule set is the reason why you can create some correlation. Okay, if let's say you want to create a correlation that and security alert should be generated if this specific alert brute force has been attempted maybe thrice in 1 minute, then I should get an alert, right? So I can create correlation or all possible correlation in here. Good thing again is Wazuh has built tons of rules itself. So this can be really helpful. You can come to rule set file, and from here you can search for maybe SSH related events. So you see this is SSH rules, and it's again start with the group name and then end with the closing tag on the bottom. Then start with the parent rule again. We can always start with the parent rule, and it's always start with the decoder. So as I said earlier, every category of an event or a log will have its decoder. So if you want to create a rule, you have to call the decoder as well. So this is the name of the decoder, sshd, which has already been created. Right, next you can define the rule ID. You start with the rule ID, defining the rule level. I think it goes from up to 16, and then you can say if SID, this belongs to the parent. You call the parent SID, but it's not always the parent ID. You can call any rule. It's just that this will be triggered only if this rule has been matched. So that's what it defines, right? So this 5701 will be matched if 5700 is met. Okay, the condition has been met. Then it will match this specific keyword into it. It will match if the log, if the SSH log is having this specific word or sentence in the log, right? And then once the event is generated in the Wazuh dashboard, in the event you will see this description, the rule name, or the alert name will be this. Okay, so this is how it's been done. And then you can add an additional tag for MITRE attack technique, or maybe for different compliances. And that's how the entire compliance management and MITRE attack, you can see all the alerts are organized. So this entire tags is to make sure we organize each and every events based on different compliances and frameworks. Similarly, we have other rules as well. We specify the level. If you keep it a low level, you won't see those alerts. It might be archived. So make sure keep it higher, at least up to 5, and or more than that if it's really a priority one. You again have if SID, which is belongs to the parent ID, or maybe any other rule. So it's all up to you. Next, let me show you some references. You can again visit their official document where you have rule set syntax. It gives you a lot of flexibility. We have a different tags available: rule condition, as I said, match condition, match tags, regex condition. You can again run the regular expression, decode it as to call the specific decoder. Then you have source IP. You can match a specific source IP address, destination IP address, source port, destination port, a username, system name, protocol, host name, time, weekday. So this becomes very helpful for creating the correlation rule. You also have if sid. If you remember, I told you this is kind of a condition. So you see, it works similar to the parent decoder. It will match when a rule ID on the list has previously matched, right? So that's how it works. If level ID, so it ranges from 1 to 16. And so yeah, these are different condition. You can use them, and these are some examples given as well. Remember, whenever you create a new rule, make sure you have a group tags, starting tag and closing tag as well. Start. Usually, when you have to create a new rule, you do it on the local rule. So you can come here and type local, and you can find the local rules, and you can add your custom rules in here. I hope this was useful. All right, so it's time for a hands-on lab. The first lab will be on the file integrity monitoring. The task would be to monitor any changes, any new file addition, deletion, or modification happening in the root directory of our Ubuntu server agent. Okay, so let's have our Wazuh server and the agent as well here. This is our Wazuh server, and this is our agent. Okay, so to enable the file integrity, you have to do the changes on the Wazuh server first. Okay, and this is our Wazuh server. Because we have deployed in the Docker, we'll have to log into the Wazuh server. So what we will do is basically, I think we are already on the Wazuh server. If I show you, if I exit, this is the actual server name, and I can log into the individual Wazuh. I can log into the Wazuh manager by using their container ID. So I'll show you. This is the Wazuh manager, and this is its container ID, right? So I can log into the container ID like this. Now I'm in the Wazuh manager at this moment. Okay, what I need to do is I need to make sure that I enable log all so that I can get the alerts about everything happening in the network, right? So I the file which I need to edit is stored in the slash var OSSEC 8c, and the file name is OSSEC conf. Once you hit enter, we have multiple configuration option. Start with the OSSEC config, opening tag, and the closing tag will be OSSEC conf, right? Then we have a global tag section. Then we have alert section. We also have policy monitoring section. We have rootkit section as well. Currently, it is being enabled. You see disabled, no. We also have some Boodle, which is like a section. We have OS query integration as well. We have system inventory, which is by default enabled. Okay, you can see disabled is no, so it means it's enabled, right? We have SCA security configuration check, which is also enabled, right? Vulnerability detection is by default disabled, so we have to enable it, right? So this is all the configuration changes you can make. What is really important is to log all to yes, so that we can get all the alerts, right? And log all to yes in JSON format as well. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's save this file, and to take effect of this changes, you have to restart the server. So the command to restart it, in your case, if you're deploying on directly on the Ubuntu server, so the command will be systemctl restart Wazuh manager. In my case, it would be service Wazuh manager, then restart. Okay, perfect. Let's go to our Ubuntu machine, and on the agent also the file name is exactly same. It's just that the configuration would looks slightly different. Okay, so the file will path also be same slash var OSSEC etc OSSEC conf. Perfect, but the configuration looks very different. You have a client section, server section, buffer section, and everything. What we are looking for is the file integrity system check. Okay, this is the one, right? File integrity sys check, right? Currently it is being enabled. You can see disabled is no, that means it's already being enabled. We need to make some changes. The format is already given, right? If you want to monitor a specific directory, the format is very simple: directory directories and the name of the directories you have to monitor, you want to monitor. But I'll be just doing an additional, adding some additional attribute here. I added this. Okay, you see, I simply added this slash root. You see this, this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, but with few attributes. I want to check everything, I want to report everything, and I want the alerts in real time. Okay, this might create a lot of alerts, lot of unnecessary alerts, but this is good for our lab environment because I want to show you the alerts in real time. Okay, let's come out, control X, Y, yes. Let's restart the system. Now you can use the systemctl because I was in the Docker earlier, but currently I'm on the Wazuh agent. So I can do systemctl restart Wazuh agent, right? So let's do this. Perfect. It's done. You can check the status of your Wazuh agent. It's working fine. Perfect. Now you can come to the dashboard and see some alerts. You can either you can come to an individual alert and see that, or you can come to the general alert tab as well. Because we just have one, so we'll quickly go into that specific agent, click on security events, click on alerts. Let's see, for just to give you an idea, we haven't modified or added any new file in the root directory. I just want to see if there is any alert or not. So this is our dashboard. We can click on refresh to see the live alerts. At this moment we don't have any alert. Let's come on to our agent and add a new file in the root directory. We are currently in the root directory itself, so let's add a new file by using touch command. So we'll say sample file .txt. Perfect. Let's run ls, and you can see this is the file has been added. um, let's check that in our Wazuh dashboard. Let's see if we get the alert. Perfect. Can you see this? We got this alert, and file added to the system, and the file name is slash root slash sample txt. Right. So we got the alert with the all the relevant information: agent IP, agent name. This is the decoder name. Okay, and of a rule description. This actually came in from the rule itself. You can even verify that if you go to the rule name. You can look at this is the rule ID, right? So if you come, maybe let's say I want to check or verify the rule, you can either copy it or even click on the rule itself. So let's say I just simply click on this rule number 554, and this will take me to the rule ID. You see this? This take me to the rule ID 554. I can click on the file name quickly to get into that file. You can click either here or here as well, so I'll click it here. 554, so I have all the files listed here. Yeah, perfect. Can you see this 554? That's file added to the system. If I click on it, sorry, if I click on the file, this will take me to the list of all the XML file. You can even look at the individual file as well. You see this 554, 554. Yeah, perfect. You see this category is OSSEC, decoded as syscheck new entry. Let's check the decoder. Syscheck new entry. Perfect. And then it says the description is file added to the system. File added to the system, right? And then we have a group tags and everything, which you see here as well. These are rule groups. There are different tags based on TSC. Perfect. So I hope this was clear for you how to create the file integrity and verify that under rules section. All right, so now in this home lab, we are going to set up Suricata IDS, which is intrusion detection system. We are going to install it on our Ubuntu server, and we will launch some network probes or network-based attacks using Nmap to our agent, and we will see if the Wazuh is able to detect that, or if the Suricata IDS is able to detect that and submit that to the Wazuh dashboard or manager. Okay. So let's do this. On the right, you see I have steps to configure Suricata on my agent. You can also follow the documentation shared by the Wazuh official website as well. So we'll use this document. I'll share you the link as well. Okay, let's first install the Suricata on our agent. So let's copy this, paste it here. All right, so it's done. Now, the next step is to download and extract the emerging thread Suricata rule set. Well, Suricata is an IDS engine. It cannot do anything itself unless you have a rules for it. Just like you have a firewall, right? If you just deploy a firewall in your network, it's useless unless you have a rules created on it, right? Emerging thread is the community which build the rules for IDS for Suricata, which you can use it directly and install on your machine. I can This command is used to install the emerging threads rules, which is free, don't worry. Then we extract these rules and then we save it in the this directory, etc Suricata rules directory. Need to make sure if this directory exists. In some of the cases you won't see them, so okay, it's not there. So let's create the directory, rules. So now let's install the rules in this directory. Perfect. Now, if you go into this directory slash etc, this directory, you should see all the rules. This directory, right? Suricata rules. Okay. You should see all the rules. You see this? These are all the rules created by emerging threads community for Suricata. All good, right? Now let's customize the settings for Suricata. We need to modify this file, etc Suricata YAML file. This is the configuration file for Suricata. We need to set the Ubuntu IP address, the client IP address, the agent IP address. We have to set the external network as any, so that if I need to capture all the traffic coming in from any IP address, right? I also need to set the default file path to this because this is where we install the rules. And we want to capture all the files that is ending with rules with the wildcard entry. I'll set the global stats configuration yes. I think by default it is yes itself, right? And then we need to set the interface at ETH0. Let's check our current interface name. Oh, we need to install the net tools to run this ifconfig command. Okay, once you do that, then you should be able to run fconfig. Perfect. So this is the interface name. You should remember this because this is what you need to change. I'll copy this interface name and let's do those changes from the bottom. From bottom, okay. Let's open the file etc suricata YAML. Okay, there are quite a lot of configuration, multiple lines. So what you can do is you can write type control W and search for AF packet. Okay, this is the interface name currently. I'll change it to the interface name I have. Okay, then next is global stat config. So let's search for control W global stats. Yes, it's set to yes. All good. Let's go to the home net. In the home net, we have multiple IP address set. We'll use the we will use our own IP address. Okay. So our own IP address. Let's save this file. Our IP address is 139.84. Perfect. Come here and change the home net IP address to this. Perfect. IP address is set. Let's come here and disable this. To disable any field, just write hashtag and remove the hashtag from here. This will be selected. Let's go to the default rule path. Default rule, sorry, default rule. Okay, perfect. Default rule path in our case it's etc slash suricata slash rules. Okay, and over here I want to have all the files ending with dot rules, so I'll use the wildcard for that and say rules. Perfect. Let's verify the AF packet one more time just to make sure. Yeah, perfect. It's perfectly all right. Yeah, let's come out, save the file. Now to take effect of this change, you need to restart the Suricata daemon, and once it's been restarted, you can check the status of it by running systemctl status command. You can see it's running properly. There's no error as such. Okay, now next step is we need to call this file. Let's clear the screen. We need to call this file, the suricata file, in the os config, right? So what we need to do is we need to get into the os config again, slash var slash ossec etc ossec conf, right? Under this, on the bottom, if you see on the agent side, whatever you need to monitor, whatever log file you need to monitor, you need to add it here under the log file format. We need to monitor suricata log. Okay, and suricata has got multiple log file. Let me first copy it, and then let me first edit the file, and then I'll show you exactly. So I added this tag because this is the format. I want to make sure we monitor Suricata log file. So I'll add log file starting tag and ending tag. The log format is JSON. I'll show you that. And the location is this slash var slash log Suricata eve JSON. Okay. Remember this. Okay. Now let's save this file. Okay. And to take effect of this change, you need to restart the agent now. Perfect. Now let me show you why did we call this file. For this, you need to get into slash var and log directory slash var slash log suricata. Under this, you will find the log file. You see there are multiple logs, fast log, suricata log. These are two important. One carries the emerging threat, and another carries the general logs. These all logs are basically converted to eve.json. This is compatible with Wazuh itself and even any other sim solution. So you can use this. That's the reason we call this JSON file. Okay, which is located in slash var slash log and suricata. If you want to see those logs in real time, you can just type the tail minus f, and you can run fast log or suricata logs just like this. You see those logs in the real time now. Okay, if you want to see even the fast log, you can do that too, like this, right? So this gives you the uh, logs based on your emerging threats or threat intelligence based log. So that's where fast log is very important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch an attack from my nmap system. Okay, so this is my nmap. You can see this is, I have an nmap running here. Let me maximize the screen. I have nmap running here. You can see this. I will launch an scanning attack, sin scan probably, to see what all ports are open on the target machine. So what I can do is I can run the attack or the scan. It's a it doesn't make sense to say attack. It's just a scanning, right, from the nmap. So I can launch those scan against this. So I'll copy this IP address and enter the scan here, and we will immediately go to the Wazuh dashboard and we will see if there's any alert coming into the dashboard. We, of course, you can even verify from the fast log as well, but I want to show you on the Wazuh dashboard. So we can come to the Wazuh dashboard and go to the agent, go to security events, click on event section. Perfect. Can you see this? We see all the alerts, right? You see all the alerts related to ET. ET is the emerging threats, right? So we see all the alerts scanning in from the specific machine. This is the rules, all referring to the emerging threat rules. You can see multiple rules as well based on different port. You can see for Postgres SQL, Oracle SQL ports, VNC scan, suspicious inbound MS SQL ports. This has been scanned by our nmap scan command, right? That's what you can visualize on the Wazuh dashboard as well. Isn't it amazing? Right. You can even verify those logs over here on the Suricata itself, on the agent itself, by using the same command tail -f fast log. Let me clear the screen first. Um, -f fast log. You can see those exact same logs are here as well. And why we see that on the Wazuh dashboard? Because we have imported those logs on the Wazuh config as well. You remember? We created the log file over there, and because of that, the agent is then sending those alerts to the Wazuh dashboard, Wazuh manager, and from there we get it on the Wazuh dashboard. You see the IP address, destination IP address, the signature name. This is the name of our emerging threat rules. Okay, this is the source port, machine source IP address of the attacker, everything. You get all the relevant information, and the location of the file is also this /var /log suricata eve json. This is the file name, the log file name, right? And this is the rule ID as well. When you click on this rule ID, it will take you to the IDS rule which was created already. You see this suricata rules. You click on the log file, you will see all the relevant log file. I click on this, this will take me to the file name itself directly, and I can see the individual logs and verify them as well, right? So I hope this was useful. Okay, so this hands-on lab is about detecting vulnerabilities. So in this, we are going to discover all the vulnerabilities on our Ubuntu agent. Sorry, Ubuntu agent, this agent. If you look at this moment, if you even go to our agent, right, you should not see any vulnerability, right? There's no vulnerability in the system, which is not possible practically, because all these systems are having a minor or major vulnerabilities. Let's find it out. uh, to enable the vulnerability detection, you have to make some changes on our configuration file, right? So that's located in the slash that's what we you have to do it on the Wazuh manager, and that's located at /var OSSEC etc OSSEC conf file, right? So as I told you earlier as well, this is usually there in the vulnerability detection or detector section. Let's find this is the one, right? Vulnerability detection detector is currently enabled to no. So let's do that. Yes. And there are different vulnerability options for different operating system. Currently, we have Ubuntu OS. So for Ubuntu OS, it's disabled. It's disabled. As you can say, enable is no. So we'll say yes for that. Okay. There's a Debian option as well. If you have Debian operating system, enable that. If you have Windows machine, there's a different section for it, and you can enable that manually as well. You see this? This is for Windows. For Windows, it is by default enabled, right? So let's close it, save the file, and restart the Wazuh manager, right? So we'll say Wazuh manager and restart. Remember one thing: in case you are not deploying on Docker, or maybe you're deploying on Linux server directly, the Wazuh system itself. In that situation, the command will be systemctl restart Wazuh manager, and in my case, it's service Wazuh manager restart. Once it is done, you probably have to wait for a few seconds or maybe minutes for visualizing all the vulnerabilities. The system has been restarted. I can check the status here. Perfect. The Wazuh is running currently. Let's open the Wazuh dashboard and refresh the vulnerability page. So it's there. You can see all the vulnerabilities. All the vulnerabilities. There are five which are critical, six which are high priority, 21 medium, and 13 low. You also see the summary of it, and you see the list of all the vulnerabilities in the table format. There are total 48 vulnerabilities at this moment. You can also see them in the form of events. Okay, these are all the events of different vulnerabilities. And if you click on any specific vulnerability, let's say app armor, you see the CVE score of it. Based on the CVE score, then you can perform the lookup online. Maybe let's say I type this, so I get the idea about this vulnerability, and I also understand what's the remediation I probably have to do, right? So this is the note for this vulnerability. This is the status, severity score breakdown, and the bug. And if you do more research, you probably get some workaround or solutions as well, right? So this is for this architecture, and you can apply certain filters as well. You can download this file, export them, and then in the CSV format, and send it to a different team and stakeholders as well. All right, so in this hands-on lab, we are going to detect execution of malicious command. For this to work, we are going to use Linux module, which is called audit D. When it's installed, it runs the daemon and discover any security violation and track the security events information on the Linux machine as well. Okay, so this is very specific to the Linux machine. Let's first install the audit D, and to do that, enter apt install. Just say yes for any questions and hit enter. Okay, now the audit D is properly installed. What we need to do is we need to call. There are audit log, audit D log file as well. I'll show you where exactly it is being stored, so we can check that in slash var slash log slash audit. Sorry, slash audit, and you should see the file here. Yeah, this is the one. This is where you can see all the security tracking and relevant logs will be stored. Okay, so you can check the live log. So this can be, these are all the logs generating in real time. So we can track all the commands executed by different users. We can find any file related activity, user related activity, unauthorized access on the machine. So this all kind of a log will be tracked by audit daemon. Okay, the module. Now once it is done, once you have installed audit D, go to your, navigate to your Wazuh config file, which is in slash var slash OSSEC slash etc OSSEC conf, correct? So in here, remember we are on the client machine at this moment, right? In here, we have to add this log file. Let's verify if it already exists. No, it does not. So let's add a new tag, local file. Sorry, let's add a new file, local new tag, local file, and closing tag, local file. And in between, we can add, in between we mention log format and the location of the log file, which is this. Log format will be audit. This is just a text information, and the location of this log format is slash var slash log audit and audit dot log. Right, let's save this file and let's restart our Wazuh agent now. Okay, now let's open the config file, which is stored in the etc audit rules sections. Under this you can add different kind of a rules. Okay, just for the testing purpose, in our use case will be to monitor every commands executed by root, because root is the high privilege user, of course. And if this get compromised, anybody with root access can execute any kind of a command, right? So let's have this as a use case to monitor all the commands executed by the root user. So this is the command. This is EUID0, which belongs to a root user. This says always monitor. The distribution is 64. Then execution command, and this is basically the CDP value. So this is the key value pair name for Wazuh. I selected this. You can go for any name as per your of wish. I'll show you this name, which must match on the CDB database on Wazuh, and then only we can track all the activity. Okay. So for now, just remember we'll add audit. This is just a name. Okay. And for now, or let me show you that quickly. Okay, you can go to the management tab. Under this you have a CDB list, constant database list, right? Under this you may be able to find the audit keys, and we have this specific command, right? Audit Wazuh C, right? This is the key value pair. Now we want to update this database to track all the different commands, right? So this is what we are mapping to, and you have to specify a specific key for all the tracks to be done properly. Okay, let's save this file. And once it is done, once it has been saved, you have to restart the audit D rules. For this you can run the audit CTL command -R to reload all the rules on the configuration. Audit D audit rule, right? So once you hit enter, yeah, rules, hit enter, the rules will be reloaded. All right, so now to test, we can run any command. Let's go with netstat command. Okay, netstat. Okay, netstat command has been executed, and let's see if we get the alert. This is our Wazuh dashboard. We can go to security events, click on event tab, and let's see. Okay, we got an alert here. Let's refresh one more time. We got an audit event here, right? And this is belongs to the netstat file, right? So you can see this command has been executed. This command was executed under this CDB query key, basically. And this was the entire log, which was generated by the audit daemon on the agent. And this is the command. And yeah, so this is the specific rule ID which triggered this. Okay, so this way you can actually look at the alert. So yeah. All right, so this is the hands-on lab in which we are going to detect and block the SSH brute force attack. Okay, but before we do that, let's understand what is SSH brute force attack, right? So it's a hacking technique where the attacker use different combination of username and password. It uses the combination of different username and password to gain access to the remote server. It's that simple. So it involves a brute force technique, dictionary, data, multiple database, possible username and password. So it is used by the hacker to gain access in the server. That's clear, right? Now, next step is, let's talk about how Wazuh can detect it. How Wazuh can detect and respond or stop such attacks. Well, first of all, remember one thing: Wazuh has an inbuilt SSH rules, SSH category of rules to detect the brute force attack. Right? It's already there. I'll show you in the management section. We have the management section. Under that, we have a rules. Right? So we can find that rule to detect such brute force attack. So that shouldn't be a problem. Now the next job is, based on this detection, I need to stop such attack. Okay, and this can be created using a feature, an inbuilt feature of Wazuh called active response. Okay, so what we can actually do is, with active response we can use a firewall filter, firewall rules. that can dynamically created on the endpoint, especially if we talk about the Linux machine. So we can dynamically create a rule to drop such traffic, and which will be triggered once the SSH brute force attack is attempted. This rule will then trigger to the firewall drop rule or firewall rules to drop such connection. Okay, such brute force attack attempts, right? So what happened is in this case we have two components which is used in the active response. We have our agent here, and we also have our manager right over here. Now we need two things. We need a command basically consists of a exact execution. Maybe let's say the command can be firewall drop, right? In case of Linux, this can be firewall drop. So this is very important. This is the first component which has to be there in the configuration. This has to be enabled, and this has to be present in the manager. And this is usually present by default. You don't have to create yourself. Second thing which you will have to add yourself is called active response tag. This has to be added in the configuration tab. If you remember, under the OSSEC conf file, this has to be added, right? So this consists of under this tag, under the active response tag, we then call this command. We then call the command which will be executed based on certain criteria. You got it? So at the end, in order to make this possible, we need a command tag under the configuration, and we need to enable the active response. By default, the command is active. The commands are already present, and active response need to be configured. Now the question is, how does how exactly this works? Okay, to understand that, we need to understand the flow of this entire system. So let's say we have an agent here. This is our Wazuh agent running on Ubuntu, and this is our manager. Okay, what happened is, let's say there's a brute force attack has been attempted on this Ubuntu machine. Okay, this is our hacker, and he is attempting a brute force attack. Okay, now an event will be created. An event will be generated if the brute force attack is attempted. We don't have to create any additional rule for it. An event will be created. Now this event will go to the manager based on that SSH attack attempt, right? Based on this, the manager on the manager, we have a different active response. We have an active response condition created, which says if there is any SSH related rule is triggered, then this active response will be executed, and which consists of a command, maybe let's say firewall drop, which says that any traffic that is with the source IP address of hacker which is attempting to brute force should be dropped, right? So this is need to be executed, right? Now this goes as a response to the agent. That's the third step. Now once that happen, the agent will execute that script. Now what I said, the firewall drop, it's basically a script. It's basically a script which is which is pushed by the Wazuh itself. So our Ubuntu agent should have the firewall drop as a script file, maybe script, basically. Maybe let's say shell script. For example, it might be a different format, but let's assume this is a shell script. Okay, you have written it on shell. Now the shell script will be executed, and the moment the shell script will be executed, the Ubuntu server will create a rule in the IP table saying that the source IP address there should be a drop for all the source IP address, and this will be dropped immediately, and the log will be generated as a fifth step, or maybe as a fifth step, a log will be generated saying that the packet has been dropped and the active response has been executed. And this log then we forwarded to the manager as a sixth step, maybe, that as a log or as an event saying that active response has been executed. And that's what we see on the dashboard at the end. Okay, so let's now configure it practically and see how does it work. Okay, now let's start with the configuration here. This is our manager. All the changes that we need to do, it should happen on the manager at the end, right? So let me show you the configuration once. Let me increase the font, and you can see /var /OSSEC conf, and under this you should have this command. Okay, under this you should have command of firewall drop. In our case we are using the Ubuntu, so we should look for the command. You see this section, command, right? We are looking for firewall drop. It's already exists. As I said earlier, the commands already exist, right? Now we need to look for the active response. No, there is no active response here, so we have to add it ourselves, right? So let's say we add our own active response here, and I'll show you what does it mean. Give me 1 second. Let's add this script here. Okay, you can see this is our active response, and this will whenever this will be executed when this 5763 rule is triggered. 5763 rule is all about brute force attack attempt happening on the device, and the location is local. That means the script will be executed on the local device only, from our endpoints only. Okay, and what is the condition? The agent should have this shell script on the machine, then only it will be executed. So the condition is whenever 5763 rule is executed or triggered, this active response will be executed on local device. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Let's save this file, and I'll show you 5763 rule. But before we do that, we need to restart this machine by service Wazuh manager restart. Okay, all right, so it has been restarted. Now let's log into our Wazuh. Okay, so once you log into the Wazuh dashboard, let me first show you the rule 5763. Okay, you can come here. Under this you can search either by the rule number, or let's go for SSH rules. Click on this rule action, and you should see the series start with 57, right? So let's go to 5763. 5763, yes, perfect, this is the one. 5763 level is 10, high priority level, and this says brute force trying to get access to the system, authentication fail. You see this? That's why, that's the condition. All right, and once this happen, we should have a log generated as well. So we should also have an active response log on the machine. So you can see it is already there. If we go on the bottom, you see the active response logs. If you come on the agent, you can look at the command and the script as well. So you can, the scripts for the active response are stored in /var/OSSEC active response bin. Okay, if you look at the files, these are all the scripts. You see this firewall drop already exist here, so you don't have to do it. It will wait for the Wazuh manager to give those commands. Okay, so all good. Now let's replicate this attack. Let's launch a brute force attack on this machine. Okay, so to launch the brute force attack, we need a machine, a Kali Linux machine. You can see I have a Kali, and I have a hard Hydra install on it, which is used for password testing. Uh, our IP address is 139.84.199. Correct? This is our IP address, and this is the password. We are going to run the Hydra command. You can see this is our command. This is our Hydra command, and this is the username. We are going to keep the username as it is, and we are going to use the database of different password into it. So you can see we are using the password database. You can just create a text file and add a random username password, and this will be destination. We are going to launch the SSH based brute force. So that will be there. Just hit enter. It might take some time, and let's go to the Wazuh dashboard. Perfect. Can you see this? Host blocked by firewall deployed. First, we got this alert as brute force trying to get access to your system. Authentication failed. This is 5763. Now this triggered to our active response log, and just after that, immediately this rule got triggered, and the packet got dropped. Then immediately, you can see the request came in from India, of course, and This is the entire log for the active response, failed traffic, failed password, username, password, and everything. And immediately firewall drop started happening. Now if I try to access from my machine, it will not work because it has already created a firewall drop active response to drop all those packets. All right, so I hope this was useful. Right, so let's start working on our sixth hands-on lab, which is to detect malicious files using VirusTotal. Now, what is VirusTotal? VirusTotal is a threat intelligence platform where you can submit a malware sample or any suspicious file. You can submit an IP address, you can submit any domain or FQDN or any hash of a file, and VirusTotal will then submit this sample against hundreds of antiviruses, and then it will give you the report if this data, if this artifacts or the sample is infected or not. Okay, this is very very powerful, and it's free as well for a limited number of queries. Okay, how are we going to use and integrate with Wazuh? Okay, so there are four steps we are going to perform for this home lab. The steps are, and the step-by-step process is also mentioned in the Wazuh official document under proof of concept section. I'll share you the link as well. But first thing first, just to make sure we don't avoid any false positive, we are going to keep a track of all the files that has been added in a root directory, and we are going to do it by creating a syscheck for file integrity. Okay, so we are going to look at all the files changes happening in the root directory. Okay, once this has been done, then we are going to create a security rule, Wazuh security rule, that will keep a track of all the changes happening in the root directory only, because we already know that Wazuh already have a rule for detecting any file changes, but we are only going to make it very specific about a root directory. Okay, so the moment a new file has been added in the file integrity, if we have enabled that, there is an existing rule. The rule is 550 and 554, I guess, and this will be triggered. But we are just making sure it's only applicable for files in the root directory. So I'll show you how the Wazuh rule would really looks like. Once it is done, the moment this rule get triggered, this should also trigger another, not a rule, basically an integration. This should trigger an integration tag for VirusTotal, which will be there in the OSSEC conf file, under the OSSEC conf file of manager, Wazuh manager. Okay, so this integration need to be added where we are going to define the API of VirusTotal. Okay, this is the way it will trigger the VirusTotal whenever a new file has been added in the root directory. But the question is, how are we going to test it in our home lab, in our hands-on lab? Basically, we are going to use a sample malicious file. Okay, the name of the sample file is eicar. We can download from their official website. This will give us a sample file. For Ubuntu, we can download through the curl command, and this should generate an alert on the error, or alert, sorry, not error, on the VirusTotal, and we should see an event or security alert on the Wazuh dashboard. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get started with the configuration. Okay. Um, Okay, now let's open the Wazuh manager first. Okay, this is our Wazuh manager, right? So all the changes that we need to do, we need to make sure on the agent we have enabled the file integrity check on a root directory. Okay, so I'm on the agent at this moment. You can see, let's just verify if we have root check, sorry, not root check, a sys check under file integrity. So yeah, this is the one. This is for file integrity check. You see this file integrity check. We have syscheck tag. Under this, we should have root. Yeah, you can see the root has been added already. Let's create a rule on the Wazuh for it. Now let's open the Wazuh dashboard. Under the manager, it's reloading. Okay, let's re-log in. Okay, so navigate to the manager, then go to the rules section, then go to the manage rules. Under this, search for local. Okay, this is your custom rule file. This is where you add a custom rules. Okay, now what we can do is we are going to add two rules here, these two rules. So rule number is 100200 and 100201, level 7, and we are going to use 550, which is for integrity check, and 554 as well. I'll show you. These are all the rules that we have currently, and this is only being triggered under this condition where the field name should be slash root. Okay, so this is very specific to any file that has been added in the root directory. And the moment a file has been added, this is the message you see in the security event. All right, so this is done. Let's save it. Once you save the rule, you have to restart the Wazuh manager as well. Okay. Once that is done, then we have to add an integration tag. Okay, let's get into the Wazuh now and open the OSSEC conf file. Okay, then let's go on the bottom. We should have virus. Yeah, we have an integration here. I've already added that. You can see I have a rule ID. This is what I already added just for your simplicity. You can see we have an API. This is the name of the integration, VirusTotal. This is the API key. You can get the API key by visiting their official website. Go to virustotal.com. Total, you can visit the VirusTotal website, then go to your account and click on API key. This is your API key. You can click on copy key to clipboard, and this API key you can enter here under the API key tag. And then you also have a rule ID. This indicates that the virus total will only be triggered when the rule ID 10 100 and 100200 and 100201 get triggered or get executed. Okay, now, and you can see uh, the click on local file, and you should see the local file here. These are the rules. So this will be triggered. The virus total will be triggered only when the rule number 100200 and 201 get triggered. Okay, so now it is done. The configuration is all set. Now let's add a sample malware file onto the our agent, and let's see if we get any error. Okay, or sorry, not error but an alert. Okay, so to do that, we can download the malware sample from EICAR. Let me show you their official website. This is their official website. You can visit the website here and download the sample. Okay, this is taking some time. Yeah, you can see this. This is their official website. From here you can go and download the malware sample. Okay, so let's come to our agent and run a curl command. Let's save the file in the root directory. Okay, so this is the curl command we are going to use, and let's hit enter. Okay, the file seems to be downloaded. Let's enter ls. Perfect. Can you see the eicar.com? The file has been downloaded now. If I do the ls minus l, you can see the file has been downloaded. Let's go to the alert section for the agent, or you can directly go to the security events. Under the event, let's see if we get any alert. Awesome. Can you see this? we got a VirusTotal alert saying 67 engines detected this file. Should also have an alert, an additional alert for file adding. Yeah, you can see the file has been added in this directory. You can see this. This alert was triggered 100201. Okay, so the moment 100201 got triggered, it also triggered another alert. It also triggered virus total, and then the same sample, the EICAR file, which was added in the root directory, got scanned by virus total, and we got this detail. Okay. Right, so I hope you enjoyed this entire course, including the hands-on lab. If you have found this useful, don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. If you have any question, write in the comment section below. I would love to answer that.